Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Tate in what feels like our first video in forever. We are still in different parts of Europe. I'm at home. You are in Austria. And without doing a spoiler alert, I know you'll be back within a month.
Yes.
I'm going to say that because I'm not going to give the dates away in case there's stalkers at the airports. But we are doing our monthly stream. I didn't go on last month's because I watched like 5 films in February. I just didn't watch like anything. It happens, doesn't it? Like life gets in the way and you don't realize it. And then suddenly it's like, it's a new month. What's happened? So yeah, we're going to be doing what we watched. This is the monthly stream. We talk about some of the major news. We know it's CinemaCon. Dependent on the next few days, there may be a CinemaCon wrap-up video. That's me thinking out loud. Dependent on the news. Last night we had the Sony panel. We had the official announcement of the Beatles films, the cast that were rumored that are all confirmed. Spider-Man has a new name. Spider-Man Brave New Day? No, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Sorry, I was getting mixed up with other Marvel.
Brand New Day, yeah.
Brand New Day, yeah. I don't want to moan because it's a title, but really, are we getting a Day trilogy now? Like, it's
they'll get
a new font.
They'll get a Day trilogy. Yeah, it'll be a Day trilogy, it'll be a Night trilogy or something like that.
I find it strange because it's still scheduled for 2 weeks after Odyssey, and not a day has started filming yet. Odyssey's been filming for like I think a month now, so I am still placing bets on the Spider-Man film being delayed. Oh God, we had the Avengers Doomsday. I want to say like semi-announcement. I don't know if you saw the chairs. Apparently, the latest update is these are only the cast members that have officially signed their contracts, which implies that there will be a lot more to come. Obviously, we know Doomsday is going to shoot back-to-back with Secret Wars. Spider-Man's going to shoot in the middle of them. It's been a big news month. And that being said, I haven't watched too much. I've watched a lot of TV, not necessarily films. I've still seen some films, and I think me talking loud, me and you've known March has been pretty quiet this year. Like, we've known it's not Summer Blockbuster season. We've known there's been very few and far between releases. Things are that bad. I'm going to watch Minecraft on Thursday. I've never played Minecraft in my life. To be frank, I think the film looks abysmal, but just on the fact that I've not been to the cinema for like 2 weeks, I probably should go. It's an early charity screening, and there's been 2 seats sold. So, yeah, there's that. Thankfully, it's 20 minutes away. Actually, I'll be honest. Thankfully, it's not for children because Minecraft is what Are we like the? Not making it sound old. I feel like we're the generation like just above Minecraft. Like, some people our age have obviously played it, but I don't think we're like the last school of the FIFA.
I played it a bit, but
a little bit. Were you older? Not in a rude way.
Yeah, I was going to say FIFA COD.
Yeah, we were like the PS3 era, and I felt like Minecraft came at the end of that. Like, maybe 2 years younger than us, that was their main game they grew up with. And today's kids is Fortnite, which is scary. There'll be a Fortnite film before we know it. But yeah, there's things happening, and that's not even us talking about the month. I know we're in different continents, so there may be some delays as well. We'll say to people at home. But as always, comment with what you've been watching. News items you look forward to, releases this month you're looking forward to, the films you've seen, the TV shows you've seen. April is going to be fucking mega. The Last of Us returns in just under 2 weeks, and/or returns in 3 weeks tonight. There are new releases. Yes, unfortunately, there is Minecraft. Another one just slipped my mind. Warfare. I'm seeing on Saturday, the new Alex Garland film comes out in the middle of this month. Doctor Who fucking comes back the same weekend as The Last of Us. There's a lot of TV. There are going to be a hell of a lot of films coming out. A Karate Kid trailer's dropped today, and that comes out at the end of May. So you want to find out about announcements, videos, what we're working on, get us on our social medias, linktree.com/cinemasavvy. That puts you through to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky. We will be covering weekly videos on The Last of Us. We'll be covering weekly videos on Andor. I have opinions on the Andor schedule. 3 episodes a week for 4 weeks. The more I've thought about it, the more I've disliked that. And I'll talk about that another time. But yeah, Tate, I mean, do you want me to go first? Because I didn't do last month. I'll go over very briefly some of the films. So I've got more to say about TV, if I'm honest. Okay, right. I'm just going to dip back into February for 2 films because I know I wasn't on the last video. And I'm not a completionist, but I saw 2 films I think you probably don't know I've seen. The first is hilarious. Flight Risk. Did you the bold Mark Wahlberg film? Country Mile, one of the worst films of this year. It's got Topher Grace, Mark Wahlberg, somebody else. But Mark Wahlberg is directed by Mel Gibson, so it's already controversial in that regard that I didn't pay to watch this. That's all I'm saying. It was terrible. It was not fun. And it was one of those films that, like Cineworld will put on their trailers for like 3 months straight. It was one of those. Yeah, Flight Risk was bad. But the marketing campaign, because Mark Wahlberg's got such a horrible bold cap, they have cropped the top of his forehead off in all marketing. So on all the posters, on everything you see, you can't see that his dreadful bald head. So I don't even know why they took that if he wasn't willing to do the distance, but there you go. And then the other one I watched was one of the hyped Oscar films that didn't get any Oscar films, September the 5th. I didn't actually enjoy it that much. Maybe it's unfair to say this, and it's not me getting into politics, but it just felt like a very poor version of Munich, the Spielberg film. Completely different, but when it's about the Olympics of what happened, it's basically covering it through the TV broadcasters, and I personally didn't find it interesting. It's not me talking about the event, it's just as a film, I wasn't really wowed over when I thought it maybe could have been good, but maybe the idea was better than the execution.
I'd heard it was Oscar baity.
Yeah, it felt like, hey guys, let's test run this, and if they're feeling it, we'll get it out in time. And no one was feeling it, so it came out sort of after. Very Oscar baity, and it again, like I know not every event's locked into like a famous director, but when Spielberg sort of done the aftermath of September 5th, much better with a better cast and not like more budget, but when you think of a film version of what happened and what happened after it. Munich's obviously the one people are going to go to. And then, sorry, one more for February. I watched Dreadful, back in action. Cameron Diaz's first film in like what felt like an eternity. Her and Jamie Foxx. Standard Netflix, dropping it, no one cares. On in the background whilst I'm on the PlayStation or doing some editing for a couple of hours. Wasn't good. Don't recommend it. So I'm going to talk about March, where I watched 7 films, but I've got a couple of TV shows which I'll talk about in more detail. I watched Mickey 17. There's a review on the channel. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it's bombed. People keep talking about the numbers. It's a film I think will go 2 ways with people. I think a lot of people won't like it. Some people will. I don't like the conversation like, oh, it's his first film since Parasite, because then people think it's going to be like Parasite, which it's not. And Bong Joon-ho films aren't like Parasite. Like it's not like a Nolan where it's like, that sounds really snobby, but like, do I say the better? It's not like here's an IMAX gargantuan blockbuster, what's next? Bong Joon-ho is very much a traditional director, like whatever's next is whatever story he's interested in doing. And this was that. And I really enjoyed it. I thought Rob Pattinson was very good. Naomi Mack was very good. I just think there was a couple of issues with it. Second one I saw, which is my film of the year so far, which I don't know if it can even count as a film. Hans Zimmer and Friends, Diamond in the Desert. So Hans Zimmer has done a concert film. And, I've got recordings of Live in Prague. That's like the standard. But this one, now I've not seen, what's the one you really enjoyed that got re-released last year? It was I'm Still... what's the really famous concert film? You watched the re-release of the cinema.
Stop Making Sense.
Stop Making Sense. So how when you
Talking Heads.
So obviously I've not seen that, right? And I've heard like that's like the concert film of concert films. Like it's not, whilst it's a concert film, it's also not. It's something different. The Hans Zimmer one does. I don't want to say that because I don't know what that is for Talking Heads, but this is a concert he did in Dubai, but interweave between certain sets, he's back in his London studio, black and white 4x3 square, and it's him with a collaborator from a project, whether it be a film director, producer, cast member, talking about not his experience working on the films, but the experience of like music. And it's really unique. And Hans Zimmer didn't need to do this because he could have just released a bog standard concert, record it, released it, people would have gone and seen it, but it was one that doesn't really do concert films. It's one of the best things I've watched. As someone that's seeing him live multiple times, being able to, like, let's say Gladiator comes on, right? He has an incredible performer called Pedro, who's on all of his tours. Gladiator is almost like a solo for him. So in this concert film, rather than the camera just keep being on hands, you get Pedro for like 2 minutes, and you get to see the face expressions. He's playing an instrument genuinely from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, like a really, really rare thing that's almost impossible to find. You get to take in the performances in levels you couldn't before. And alongside the interviews with these big names like Nolan, Shyamalan, and all these people that do interviews, they then switch the concept between like a set they've built and are performing in, as well as the live stage. So it's really unique. It was shown like really limited at cinemas. Like every cinema was able to show it twice. So it sold out pretty much everywhere. I got lucky with the press screener online, but obviously I wanted to see it at cinema, but I couldn't. I took my mum for Mother's Day, like a week before Mother's Day. Again, who I've gone to the concert with, she loved it. It was sold out. And again, same opinion as me. Like we got to see, when you're at a stage, it's different. We've been row one for events, which is great, but you still didn't get close-ups to the violinist or cellist at the back, seeing exactly what they're doing. So the Hans Zimmer concert film, I really recommend to people. If I'm completely honest, I think it could have had a wider release. I'm sure it will get a Blu-ray release, or it will get put on. It'll get put on a streaming service. It'll probably be really big right on there, but it's not a traditional concert film, and I recommend it on that premise alone. Certainly for the I mean, him and Nolan talking about not falling out on The Dark Knight, but it's not this hunky dory like, haha, how great was it doing this together? It's very much a let's talk about the process. And the best thing, and it's maybe a spoiler, but The Lion King is probably one of the most like traumatic interviews. He's talking with Zendaya, obviously no affiliation to The Lion King. He basically says he only made the film because he'd always done adult films and he wanted to take his daughter to a red carpet. And then basically when he watched the film, obviously before the soundtrack or anything came in, he basically realized the film was about like, a son's dead dad. And he basically explained that his dad died when he was 6 and their relationship, and he never like addressed it as like a depression. So he said that the Lion King soundtrack is a requiem for his father. And I was sat there like, that's deep. And then you listen to the Lion King score after that, and you're like, "Oh my fucking god!" Like that. There's levels of emotion, and there was that, and I would never be able to see the Lion King the same. So, and he's never spoke about stuff like that ever. Like it's not the generic documentary interview style. It's quite deep, and yeah, I loved it. I've seen it twice.
It's an in-depth kind of look into his psyche. How he pulled it together and everything like that. Like it goes a bit deeper.
5 minutes in between a set, and he's got Johnny Marr on there. He speaks about Johnny Marr and Further, the two that basically made me start performing live. So it's really open into the personal side of things, and obviously he's got a lot of the Dune stuff with Denis Villeneuve. He's got a lot of Nolan stuff. So yeah, I'd recommend that to anyone that's into his music that wants something a little bit different. I think there's enough character there for people to like go back to it. I saw Black Bag. There's a review on the channel. Loved it. Didn't know anything about the film before watching it. It's a spy film. I know that Spy Has did a really good review on it as well. I listened to that with Scott. When you just get a good drama that comes out of nowhere. Maybe that's on me for not knowing about it. It's an espionage film that's not about explosions, action. It's a character drama. It's a marital couple, both of which are spies. No, not Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like an actual... Let's take like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's a film about sourcing a mole, but we've got our core cast of 5 from the opening scene of who it could be, and it's an incredible script. David Kirk wrote it. Steven Soderbergh directed it. I recommend it to anyone. I think it will be a film that people talk about within that genre for quite a few years. I think again, if it's a film that goes on to streaming, it will do really well. It's got great casts. It's got great performances. Black Bag's amazing. And again, I went into it knowing nothing. And I've been on a bit of an espionage hype. I'll talk about TV shows a little bit later. I then rewatched Detective Pikachu, sorry. I've not seen that since the cinema. I still think it's fine. I liked it when it came out. I think we all had a Pokemon phase as children, right? And you probably the same VHS I did, the yellow one, the Pokemon the movie. I don't know. I think because Nintendo's announcing the Switch, I've been sort of not on a Pokemon hype at all, but I've been like, I kind of want to watch Detective Pikachu because I did like it. I was like, we're having discussions with friends about like, the live action Pokemon things. I was like, Detective Pikachu nailed the whole here's live action, here's like them how they exist in the world, and I wanted to rewatch it, and there's still some really good stuff I like. I think they're making a sequel. I'm pretty sure they've got writers. It's just
I'm shocked in general. It did well. Why hasn't it spawned into like a massive franchise immediately? It's like they kind of did the film and didn't really have a plan to immediately expand it a lot further.
Do you think it's Nintendo? Because to be fair to Nintendo, they're very strict with like Mario, right? Did that gross $1 billion like 2 years ago? I'm sure they've announced a second Mario film, but if they have or if they haven't, they're not going. You know how Americans are like, let's get a sequel out now.
They've announced the Legend. They're doing the Legend of Zelda film as the next one, aren't they?
But this is, I wonder if Nintendo is just a bit more like cautious, not cautious with their stuff, but you know how like Hollywood's like get a sequel prepared before the first one's even out. I wonder if Nintendo's literally like, we're going to make a film, release it. Great, it did well. We're not just going to opening weekend say, hey, it made money. Here's never right. I guess Ryan Reynolds is probably a producer or somewhat, and it's probably trickier getting him nailed down. But yeah, I'm the same as you. Like I was reading up, I was like, oh, like there are writers attached to it recently, but it was only last year. An update came like 5 years after. I guess you could say with Pokemon that I don't want to say it's timeless, but I guess there's no immediate rush. Like everyone knows what Pokemon is. I feel like the film came because of Pokemon Go. I remember that Pokemon Go was this humongous thing, and then it was like, now we're doing a film. And I wonder if after that they're like just not slamming the brakes down, but they're thinking like, okay, we'll do more, but as and when. I just like to see more Pokemon. I like to see like Blastoise and Charizard or something. Like we got the really cool fighting arena, and that's the bit I remember most. And I just wish there was a bit more of that. I know Lego's just announced a Pokemon deal, which is very strange, but you just know that Lego Pikachu's going to sell for a shit ton. I then had the fantasy of watching Snow White at the cinemas. This is, I kind of don't want to get into it, but I do. I feel like this is coming down as one of the most controversial films ever made. Yet the glaringly obvious issues, and I can get into the Palestine-Israel stuff. I'm going to politely not to in the concept of opinions, but in the context of talking about it. I'm seeing hit piece after hit piece on either Rachel Zegler or Gal Gadot. Now, I'm very, very much in the agreement that Gal Gadot's a dreadful actress that should not be in the role, which she shouldn't be. I am somewhat in agreement that I think Rachel Zegler's been put at the heart of a mental targeting campaign. While she's said some dumb things, like I don't like the original, I don't like that. I don't mind the whole Free Palestine tweet. The Variety sending out an article like the producer of the film flew to her house and asked her to delete a tweet is deranged. Like, it's a fucking Twitter account. She can do what she wants. She's 23. But then Gal Gadot's like, it's fine for her to tweet about like killing children or whatever, you know, what she defends with, you know, genocide. Everything is about Zegler. And then you've got the dwarves, which we know, obviously, Peter Dinklage spoke a lot about, which also caused controversy before the film was made. Those leaked photos, which were not the seven dwarves, but just other bandits in the film, which caused those a problem. It's a controversial understatement for the film. Let's just say it's diddled upon arrival, but I'm not blaming either of the actresses. I'm not blaming dwarves. I kind of am blaming Disney for, like, again, it's another live action remake that people haven't asked for. At this point in time, it's just a tick list of we want to do them. It was just a bad film, and there's a lot of things to blame. It's a combination of all of the issues. You can't sit there and say, A, why does a Snow White film cost $270 million? B, why is a producer blaming the actress when he had 6 different drafts of a screenplay? I'm sorry. If you're adapting Snow White into live action, do you really need 6 different writers doing 6 different drafts? No. Like, casting a dreadful actress as a villain when Lady Gaga's asked to have that role is mental. And, you know, I'm not like a Lady Gaga stan with music. I like her, but if Lady Gaga wants to play the evil queen, and you know she can sing, and you know she can act, cast her. Like, Gal Gadot can neither sing nor act. So what do? She gets 2 singing songs, to which they turn up the noise of the instruments, so you actually don't hear her sing as much. And guess what? She's now become a meme again because of how bad the lines are. So I'll say this, like, Rachel Zegler's the best thing in Snow White. That's my opinion, like 10 days after. But being the best thing in that film is not by any means a miracle. I just think there's some insane online articles going around. BBC did a good one, basically trying to list it, but also no one seems to just be talking about the quality of the film. Like, it's just not a good film. I don't know why that can't be.
Some people are talking a bit. People are talking a little bit about the quality of the film because, I mean, it review bombed, of course, but it's now the lowest rated film ever on IMDb, like worse than Dragon Ball Revolution. I know we don't go off IMDb for everything. We look at IMDb every now and then. We kind of maybe sometimes read on the reviews and stuff like that. I don't think it would be that bad of a film because it surely has to be the worst production possible, like betray kind of, the original source material in every single way for it to do that. But it's obviously caused a lot of people to be angry on the internet, which isn't hard nowadays. But at the same time, because of that, it's got more attention, and I think the eyes are drawn more towards maybe its shortcomings as a film.
Yeah, and also, as you know, it's not a good film. It has all these issues with it. It's cost $270 million, which it shouldn't do. Like, just respectively, a Snow White film shouldn't cost $270 million. That's a Hollywood issue of these inflated budgets. And yeah, worst film ever, no. Bad film, yes. Worse than Pinocchio, no. It's not even the worst live action of the Disney remakes. Like, we'll say that in a heartbeat. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Lilo and Stitch. I give it that. Lilo and Stitch looked really fun when I saw a trailer. But also, I see a lot of grown adults upset about Snow White. It's a fucking fairy tale for children. Oh, it's not original. They've copied it. Well, yeah, but it was a Brothers Grimm story from like 200 years ago. Like, it's not. It wasn't original.
You weren't alive when the first I was going to say you weren't alive when the Snow White, the Seven Dwarfs was originally put out. So like, what are you complaining about? Like,
yeah, it's strange. It feels like it's one of them. Like, everything's come together. And I guess, and I'll be honest, if you do get into the politics of what's going on with Gaza, which I understand, and people want channels to talk about it, we don't as such, but in theory, going off sides, you have a pro-Palestine and pro-Israel. So there's no interweaving of this film's pro one of each. No, like it's just Disney cancelling premieres brings more into the conversation of criticism, and a lot of it, I will say, is Disney's own fault. That's the last thing I'll say because I could get very controversial, but yeah, there's a lot of reasons why Snow White's failed, but I would just say it's not a surprise that it failed at all. Again, this March is one of the worst Marches I've ever seen for release dates for films for what's been coming out. Let's move on to something better. Have I watched a better film since Snow White? No, I watched Mufasa the day after because one Disney film wasn't enough. So I'm in the minor category of I don't mind 2019's Lion King. I'm pretty open about that. I like the technological advancements. I like the photorealism. I like what it tried to do, but it felt like a director who wanted to tell that story of the Lion King using modern technology. It didn't feel as much a checklist as some of them. Granted, it still was I think you go back to a Jungle Book review from 2015. I'm actually adamant I said, if Jungle Book's a success, they'll do the Lion King because in the credits they had a meerkat and a warthog, and they did. Obviously, Favreau did both. Mufasa is not good. It has worse CG than The Lion King, which really, really... If you go into a film with low expectation, what's the one thing I would always defend that 2019 Lion King remake for? The visual effects. If your sequel isn't having those, it's not having those, you're done. I'm sorry. And it was done. It was bad. It was really bad. I won't recommend it. Was it worse than Snow White? No, but they're as bad as each other for differing reasons. But Barry Jenkins literally coming out in the weekly films saying like, yeah, I can't wait to not do a film like this again. Don't blame him. It was a mess. It felt like, you know how when Star Wars spin-off started, it was like a Star Wars story. It might as well have been called like... I spit in fair on Solo, actually. It's set with like Simba's kids talking to Rafiki, Pumbaa, and Timon. And they're reciting an old story, and that story plays on screen. That doesn't scream film. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, what would you call it if Luke Skywalker, if there was a film called like Star Wars Andor, right? I've only got it because it's in front of me. And it's Luke Skywalker in front of his kids being like, this is the story of the man Andor. You'd be like, why the fuck is this a film? it's kind of like that. Like there was no. I know obviously it's done financially very well actually, but yeah, 700. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of my fan. I was a bit gutted if I'm honest that it was bad because I don't mind the 2019 Lion King, but this one I won't be rewatching this one ever at all. I'm sorry. But I'm going to talk about TV. I've just yesterday finished binging The Last of Us once more. Season 2 comes out in just under 2 weeks. We'll be doing weekly videos. I don't think there'll be any early coverage. There is a premiere happening in London on Thursday, April the 10th. There is also an Andor premiere happening in London on Thursday, April the 10th. So for some reason, the only two shows I care about both have red carpets happening at the exact same time. But Last of Us Season 1 rewatch, amazing. Still one of my favorite ever shows. One of my favorite is my favorite ever game. An incredible first season where I just continuously kept weeping at certain episodes and certain moments. And it reminds me how much I'm looking forward to the second season. Also a stark reminder that I've only played the second game once, and I've realized that I really should have replayed it recently. Because I don't have... I knew everything about the first game heading into the season 1, but I am a bit blind on certain smaller moments in season 2. So I want to fit the game replay, but I can't because it's such a long game as well. I'd have like 9 days to do it, which isn't going to happen. So very excited for that. My next rewatch is going to be this starting tomorrow. I almost said tonight, but there's football on. I need to start rewatching Andor, which I've put off rewatching for ages. I'm very excited. We've recently updated all of the Andor thumbnails and Last of Us, so they've all got season 1 written in them. But with it being a season 2's 4 weeks of 3 episodes, it's going to be really tricky to organise. But there'll be stuff for Andor on the channel. But the real show of what I watched this month, I finally watched Slow Horses. I watched 4 seasons in 3 days, and I don't watch much TV. 4 seasons in 3 days. I will tell you all this. It's one of the best shows on TV at the moment. It has one of the best casts, some of the best writing. I know it's based off a book series, and I couldn't tell you how. I don't know if it's like a page-to-page adaptation or if they're changing bits here and there, but I will give credit where credit's due to Apple that in an era where I've just spoken about Andor and The Last of Us, where we've waited like 2 to 3 years for second seasons. Slow Horses has had 4 seasons in 2.5 years. Season 6 has finished filming. Season 5 is not even out yet. Season 4 is on Apple for us to watch. Yet some of these shows, I mean, I know it's books, it's a turnaround, it's 6 episodes a season, it's not as VFX heavy, but there needs to be a conversation about TV and why it's taking so long. Lord of the Rings Season 3 just started filming. House Dragon Season 3 just started filming. Why couldn't they have been filming a year? These TV channels and streaming services, I guess not channels these days, need to be far more with it because audience retention is important. And if you're continuously bringing your shows back, you get that retention. You don't get retention with these ridiculous long gaps. So I am going to say Slow Horses I recommend on its quality alone. It's a fucking great show. It feels like it should be like BBC One prime time, 9 p.m. Sunday. I understand BBC passed on it. It went to Apple. Apple needs to do better with their marketing, as we all know. But Slow Horses, it's amazing. Every season is completely different from the other. The stories are completely different. It's not like there's overarching stories as such, but it's not like it took us 5 seasons to get to this thing. It's like each season is so clearly a new book. It's standalone.
Each season is a new kind of mystery, a new spy thing, isn't it? Yeah.
A bit. I don't want to compare it to Harry Potter, but it's like, it's like, here's the Philosopher's Stone. Here's the Chamber of Secrets. Like, it's so clearly that story. The show does it really well, and I would like more shows to do that because so many shows now is like, yeah, we're telling a story across 7 seasons, but you could watch 1 season of Slow Horses and never watch it again. But like, I've watched 1 good miniseries. You could watch season 3 randomly. Might not make as much sense because it's a big character season, but you'd be like, that season 3 stands alone really well. And I think TV shows have lost that a little bit in recent years where you can watch a series as a standalone series where it just seems to be like one continuation with a break at a finale every 2 years. So I recommend Slow Horses for many reasons. A very good show. I'm excited when season 5 comes out. And obviously, I think there's like 9 books. I don't know if they intend on doing 9 seasons, but season 7's apparently filming at the end of the year. The writer is called Will Smith, which is hilarious. He's one of the guys that did The Thick of It, So you actually have a lot of thick of the actors pop up, which is great as well. But he did interview saying season 7 shooting into the year. So yeah, Slow Horses. Last thing I'll talk about. Go watch it. It's amazing, as everybody's been saying.
I watched the first 3 series, and then I hadn't seen series 4 yet. But I like the fact that it is kind of constantly coming out. Like there is a new series coming out and stuff like that, and people can just kind of jump on at any point, and it'll be there, and it'll be continuing and stuff like that. And I think you're right about the gaps between different TV shows, losing retention and losing people. And I think that it's really important that you have TV shows like this, which aren't as high a budget. It's not massive. It's not like heavy CGI
it is
effects.
big still
Of course,
budget,
we love the fantasy. We love all of that stuff. It is, but it doesn't feel it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like, it just doesn't feel it. And yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm going to start with TV show because I've watched one TV show this month, and that is Doctor Who 2005 Series 1, because it was the 20th anniversary this week, going back to the very, very start. I remember sitting down 20 years ago and watching that first episode, being sat on the sofa and being told, hey, that's one of your neighbors, that one there, and that being Billy Piper, which was really cool. But yeah, it still holds up, that entire first season with Christopher Eccleston. It's a shame that he couldn't stay on for the role any longer. But of course, over the years, we've learned more and more stuff about how he didn't get on with various different people on set and stuff like that. What we learned about the truth of it not him being wanted to be typecast, it literally being him calling out kind of, bad behavior on set, like really kind of deplorable behavior. So very interesting how, looking back on that series and looking back on the characters and stuff like that and the interactions back now with it being, 20 years on. Doctor Who, of course, is going to be going through its second season of its second revival now, very, very soon, which once again, I'm a little bit upset that it's going with the streaming kind of format. Yeah. One thing I noted from watching the old Doctor Who was the amount of double episodes they have, the amount of lengthened stories, and how much they bring to it. Of course, you have 1 or 2 adventures, maybe 3 adventures, and then you have this one big double adventure, which feels so much bigger, and they don't feel padded out. It's not like they're trundling along trying to get through the dialogue of the episodes. It genuinely feels like the story of that episode needed 2 parts to solve it, and it needed that cliffhanger in the middle to keep you watching. That's retention right there. That is absolutely retention. And I find it so interesting looking back on that now, how TV shows used to be done, and now how TV shows are now in the streaming era, and how that's affected things like Doctor Who, which is now, sure, it's still on BBC One, but it's more geared towards the American audiences. It's more geared towards the streaming audiences, to the point where it's available on iPlayer before it's even been shown on BBC. If you want to, you can wake up on the Saturday morning when it first drops and watch it. And then if you want to watch it on TV, it's later on BBC One, but it's available to you. It's such a, I mean, we've spoken about it on the channel a few times, talking through the last series, with myself and Aaron making comments on the fact that it doesn't make sense why they're doing it this way. But of course, it's how it is now, which is a shame that we'll never get those double episodes back again. But hey ho, it's still a series that held up 20 years on, and hopefully it doesn't get cancelled, as many rumors are floating around that it's going to get cancelled again. But we'll see what happens with that.
Here's my Doctor Who thing, right? So these rumors about it being, this is what I really hate, and this is at Disney. This isn't a bit. I understand that Disney fund most of it now. I understand why the BBC needed other support. They cannot afford to fund something like Doctor Who whilst we are in an era with shows like Andor, with shows like The Last of Us, where it is feature film length budgets on TV. They couldn't even do the Peaky Blinders film. Netflix had to do that. So I understand why they needed this investment, and I appreciate Disney. Let's be honest, Disney's, it's probably like an 80-20 budget thing, I'd imagine. But what I really hate is the identity of the show. Now, I haven't watched the last season from last year, but the thing that really does my head in, which to what you said there, right, about the old story arcs, where you'd watch like 2 episodes, then you'd get a double. It's like, whoa, this double episode's come out of nowhere. Cool. Then it goes back to single episodes for a few more weeks. And you don't really know it's going to be a double until you get to the finale of the one before, or you assume the season finale would be one. But what I hate about what Disney have done, it's this nonsensical. We've renewed this show for 2 years and X amount of specials. After the 2 seasons of the show has aired, we will make a decision about the future of Doctor Who. And what I really hate about it is I understand this as a company. You need to make a decision. Go and make your decision on an annual basis, because Doctor Who has just done what we've said about So Horses. They have done 2 seasons in 2 years, which is remarkable given how TV is going. And now, let's say season 2 is amazing. It blows up with numbers. I saw that awful video of Russell T Davies, by the way, saying like, oh, yeah, we did it for content discussion discourse, or whatever he said last year that caused up a store. Basically made a subplot just for online discussions.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that, okay, Disney say, great, we're doing season 3 and 4. Season 3 is not going to come out for probably 2 to 3 years now, because they've halted everything. They've shut down everything. They've not got writers. They've not got people signed on. They'll be going back saying, yeah, now there's a season 3. Great. And I think that then does Doctor Who a disservice, because then if they do a double announcement, if you've got season 3 and 4, or worse, just season 3, does that make Doctor Who a show that becomes every 2 to 3 years? There needs to be more stability in these announcements. Why can't Disney have some execs that aren't numbers driven of data, watch the show, read their scripts, and be like, okay, we like this season, let's go along with it. We'll watch it and decide if we give you a 3rd season. Why do we need to wait for the viewers? You know, it's being streaming on Disney Plus, for God's sake. You have your own internal numbers of who's going to be watching it. The BBC broadcast numbers were low. Why were they low? Because everyone that wanted to watch it decided to watch it online when they could, especially a core fandom in this day and age. They were not waiting for a broadcast on a Saturday night when, for some reason, other countries who don't make it. It's like the Premier League football thing. Why is people outraged about everyone having Fire Sticks when you can't watch a 3 p.m. game in the own country that you are in? Every other country can watch a 3 o'clock football game, but not the country of those in it. And TVs like this to me, and certainly Doctor Who, welcome the American investment, great. But that investment should say, Bond's probably a bad example now because of what happened, but you know how it was meant to be, like Amazon, you have 50% of the rights, but the entirety of creative process, it's the Broccoli family. BBC should have that. Disney, you want to invest in Doctor Who? You want to help us? You want to keep the show alive? Great, thank you so much. But here's our bullet points of what you're not doing. And what you're not doing, if it airs at 8 p.m. on a Saturday night here, that's lunchtime America on a Saturday. What's wrong with that going up at lunch? If it airs at 5 p.m. here, that's 9 a.m. on a Saturday in America. What's wrong with that? Why does America need it at midnight? So sorry to rant about Doctor Who, which I'm not even attached to. I'm just so done with these awful studios. And if Doctor Who is cancelled on a basis of data and not the quality of the show itself, that's some, you know, if they can't even fund Doctor Who properly, there's really not much left for British drama. I know there's been a lot of talk in recent months, but sorry to rant and go on a different tirade, but that's my Doctor Who opinion piece done.
No,
I love
season
season 1. I love season 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it more when we go into kind of the episode breakdowns, when we review them as they come out. But I did watch. That was the only TV show. I did watch a bunch of rewatch films, a bunch of films I've rewatched. So I'll go through those first. So I'll start off with The Crash Reel, which is a documentary film about a snowboarder who basically. Yeah, from the worst possible injury, and he was an Olympic hopeful. It's a fascinating film, a great struggle. It's a really interesting film about the safety of the sport and kind of the levels that people push themselves also to the snowboard half pipe, which is a sport I watch every Winter Olympics. But I remember watching the documentary a few years back, and it really kind of connecting with me, and I wanted to rewatch it again, still being out here for my winter season. I rewatched 28 Weeks Later. I watched 28 Days Later a few months ago, and I don't know why I didn't watch 28 Weeks Later straight after, but rewatched 28 Weeks Later. Not as good as the first film. Definitely some very interesting moments, like the helicopter scene and stuff like that. Some very interesting scenes as well. like the steps scene, and having the various different protagonists going through hell. It's very interesting watch on rewatch. Tenet. First time I've seen Tenet since I think I saw it in cinema. First time I've seen it in like a home setting. It's very different watching it when you've got headphones on. Because I know that people have talked about Nolan sound mixing and stuff like that in the past, and people have talked about that thing. But no, it's worth noting. Like, I've mentioned it before when watching it in cinemas, and I'm like, well, the cinema's probably not wide up or anything like that. But with Tenet specifically, it was a very different experience having your headphones on and really zoning in and focusing on it. And I think sometimes you can watch a film on a big screen and you can have the scope of the film, and that's fine. Sometimes if you're really dialed in and you're watching it on a really small screen and you're having to really concentrate in the film, some films benefit from that more. And I've seen the scope of Tenet. The scope of Tenet on the big screen was fascinating and phenomenal. It's such a great film to watch on a big screen. However, I feel like this film almost lends itself better to a smaller screen because you really have to really dial in and focus. It's a film that requires your attention. You can't just have it on the background. You'll lose the film immediately. You have to notice every single little detail of the film because it's one of those mystery puzzle box films where the more you watch it, the more you find out about it, the more you notice and stuff like that. So I found it a very different experience kind of from the last time I watched it, watching it on a small screen than I did on a large screen. I wonder if you've done that as well, or if you've watched it only on a kind of a big screen so far.
Tenet, I have only seen... Right. I've not watched it with headphones. I have... there's that meme with Christopher Nolan about watching his films on phones and stuff. I haven't, but I will add that Tenet, I saw it like 4 or 5 times, I think across 4 different... I saw it at the BFI IMAX. I saw it at Cineworld Leicester Square. I saw it at Birmingham at IMAX. So that's 3 different IMAX screens I saw it in. The sound was different in each one, and it was best at the BFI, but at home, I don't want it to sound arrogant if I talk about my set. I've got a pretty good setup. It's an understatement. I've got like a 9-to-1 surround sound bar, so I get... Nolan doesn't even put Dolby Atmos on his home releases. He has traditional cinema audio narrated in. I haven't had an issue with Tenet bar one of those 3 cinemas, but it doesn't excuse the film because it was a universal issue that many people spoke about, and there were suddenly no issues of Oppenheimer sound. I would say my experience at home was different just on the basis that I was immediately screamed at being told turn it down by everybody because 3 floors up, the base of a sound system like that on that opening scene has not one that's been trifled with since. So I'm very careful of rewatching Nolan films because I've got a lot of freedom where I live. But I think there was one year I put The Dark Knight on, and again, like the 4K version of the new sound system. And when The Hotel went, I could hear the rumbles of the house in a room I do not hear rumbles of the house in. So, yeah. I will be probably... I don't think I rewatched everything before Oppenheimer. I think I rewatched like 1 or 2. I think I did like Inception and The Dark Knight only. If I can get an empty house for next year before Odyssey, I probably will. I do like a Nolan film at the cinema. They do tend to re-release them at IMAX, which I like to go to. But I'd be curious about headphones, because when Tenet leaked, as in like when Episode 9 came out at IMAX and you got the Tenet Pro, I had that on my laptop. So I think the conversation then turns to how good are your headphones. And I think some of the best headphones are as good as the best surround sounds. So it's probably an interesting observation. There's a way I could hook these up to my PS5. I probably would. Yeah. It's an interesting question, actually. Yeah, I'll stick with that. Yeah. I know it's a non-answer.
Yeah. Okay, so other rewatches. I rewatched Upgrade, which I still think is a fantastic action film, although I remember there being more action in it on previous watch, but I still enjoy the film in itself. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? I watched The Odyssey in preparation for Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. Of course, a different retelling of The Odyssey, a very, very different retelling, but I still love Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? I think the Coen brothers are fantastic writers and fantastic directors of that film. And I wanted to rewatch a comedy. I was flicking through the things, and I saw Death of Stalin was on. I think it was on BBC iPlayer. I was like, yeah, I'll rewatch Death of Stalin. Fantastic film. There's no really comedy film like it, other than kind of, you know, the only thing you can say is it's like The Thick of It, but set in Russia. It's brilliant. Fantastic film. Some great just cameo performances, some just like not even in the film for the entire thing. I always go to Jason Isaacs for the one of having some of the best line deliveries, even though he's only got like 3 scenes in the entire film. Absolutely fantastic. Loved rewatching that. I've got some films which are older films which I hadn't seen before, which is The Beach, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. I didn't even clock it was Danny Boyle until the end credits, and when of course it's Danny Boyle. This is just 100% Danny Boyle. This just feels like a Danny Boyle film. I quite enjoyed it. I'd never seen it before. Didn't really know what to expect. I'd heard different rumblings about the film and stuff like that, but it's a young Leo performance. It's good. It's got Tilda Swinton in it as well, who's fantastic. I watched Princess Mononoke for the first time, which almost tipped me and drove me into watching more Studio Ghibli films, but maybe we'll save that for if we're going to do a retrospective at any point, just because it's a fantastic film. I love the art style. I love the story behind it. Watched it in English. I actually quite liked the voice performances, and then we switched it to Japanese afterwards. Some Ghibli films have great voice performances, some don't. Porco Rosso is one where I'd say watch it in English, whereas Princess Mononoke, I'd say watch it in the original language. It's different for different people, and you kind of go through it with, you know, different films when it's that kind of thing. And then it was a bit of cleanup last year, which I guess has spilled into this year. Being out in Austria, it's very difficult to get out to the cinema. They like to dub a lot of their films into German. They dub all of their TV into German as well. It's very, very rare. In fact, this season, the people who I've been working with, they've been watching 1 episode of South Park a week, because that's when it's on the TV in English. It's never in English any other time. It's just 1 time slot a week where they've been watching it. But because of that, I managed to go through a few films. So Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which I think was fantastic. That franchise is so fun, and it's one of those kind of goofy things that you can just shove on. And yeah, sure, bring on Sonic 4, bring on Sonic 5. That can go on for a while. Just keep bringing back Jim Carrey and hope that he doesn't retire. Hope that's the role that allows him to continue having fun with it and shit like that. We'll see if he comes back or not based on the ending, but you know, interesting, you know, fun addition to the franchise. I watched The Apprentice, which I think is going to become more and more relevant each day that man is in the presidency. It's the film delves into his youth. The film delves into his, not into his youth, but kind of into what made him into that person. And you see him slowly transform throughout the film. And I completely understand the nominations for both Sebastian Stan and also for Kendall Roy. I can't name him Jeremy Strong. I just can't. He is Kendall, always will be.
Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those where fantastic film, not what I expected as well. Directing style threw me a bit at the start, but then as you get into the film, I kind of got what they were going for. But I enjoyed that. Probably one of the best films I saw this month, weirdly, was Better Man. I wasn't expecting to enjoy Better Man as much as I did. What a bonkers film that is. I'm so glad that, just like Rocket Man, not willing to shy away from kind of the drugs, the shit moments, the, you know, all of that going into the kind of the biography and stuff like that. You know, the depression, the anxiety, and all of that. Unlike other biopic films like Bohemian Rhapsody, where they just kind of gloss over it and, you know, just it's an easy journey. This film was mental. And, you know, I understand that American audiences didn't understand it because, one, Robbie Williams isn't that massive in America, and two, the main character in the film is a monkey representing Robbie Williams. But for a person who knows Robbie Williams because he's British and English, and we kind of know bits of the story, it's interesting seeing those bits filled in. The musical sequences were fantastic. The fight scene at the end, I was just like, what is going on? It was just brilliant. It was so much fun. And I'm going to go back and watch it again, probably with my family, because I feel like my parents would quite like it as well. It's like a kind of gritty kind of autobiography that goes a bit off the rails. I was surprised by it. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. So, yeah, that was an interesting film. And then I guess the final film of the month, I managed to watch Captain America: Brave New World, which I know it's been getting middling to shit reviews. It's a middling film. It's a bog standard. It's a Marvel 3 out of 5 film. It's not bad. It's not good. It's fine. It's so fine. It's not breaking ground. It's not shit. It's just okay. I don't really know what else to say. The film happens, nothing happens. It's the worst of the Captain America films, but it always sadly was going to be. And that's nothing against Anthony Mackie. That's nothing against kind of, everything is just post Endgame. And I think the care for those characters is slowly kind of dwindling. And maybe it'll be brought back when we get, Secret Wars and Doomsday and stuff like that. But right now, Marvel, the only good thing happening at Marvel right now is Daredevil, which I guess is the only other TV show I've seen this month, which has been phenomenal. And apart from that, they've got a lot of recovery to do. They've got a lot of cleanup. Bravely Well didn't do any of that. It just kind of tied up some loose ends from the TV shows. It could have been, it could have been more, but
It's weird, isn't it? Because now we're getting Doomsday, like we're getting those characters to come over, and as it seems like Captain America, it's middling's like the best term for it. It's fine, like it's watchable. It's not on the par of the old ones. It's not as bad as some of the other things, but it's trying to sort out some loose ends. It's trying to do some new stuff, and what I would give it most is it felt like for the first time in a long time. I don't want to say that MCU was moving forward in the context of quality, but in story, like, hey, the Eternals did happen. So here's a consequence of that film, Adamantium, great. But then obviously we're going to get Thunderbolts, which we now know most of the Thunderbolts are going to be in Doomsday at this point in time, which is filming now. And we know obviously we're getting Fantastic. Sorry, no, we're getting Fantastic. We're getting Fantastic Four. That's when you know that Fantastic's been around too long that you just default to calling the Fantastic Four Fantastic. I'm excited for Doomsday. The announcement last week, got to give it to Marvel. To have some weirdos watching your stream of chairs for 4 hours for moving every 15 minutes, I don't want to even give those people credit that did live streams for 4 hours. They need to get a life. But the actual reveal when they did the 2-minute version of all the chairs was very cool. I'm curious at what they're going to do moving forward. The old X-Men coming in is very cool. Again, apparently more characters are going to come once they sign on. I'm imagining that a lot will be hidden for when Secret Wars happens. Let's say Hugh Jackman, Tobey Maguire. If they're going to be involved, we won't hear about it. They'll pop up in Secret Wars unannounced. So there's a lot riding on the future. I'm really excited for Fantastic Four in July. And that'll be the last one until Doomsday, I think. But I've heard good stuff about Daredevil 2. I know they're shooting season 2 at the moment. But it's Brave New World. It's done fine financially in the end. It made profit. Some people didn't think it would, which is a bit strange. It was always going to hit profit eventually. Marvel's got to react to an evolving industry, and whilst they sat at the top of that throne for a very long time, I don't want to say it's make or break of Doomsday and Secret Wars, but I think they've got not necessarily hype for the next one, for the big team up. It feels like an actual studio, not in peril, but it feels like the studio needs to deliver rather than the studio's delivering for the fans. It's like it's sort of inverted and stuff. Like the fans are going to be there, so what are you guys now going to do for them because they've been there, vice versa. So I'm intrigued. I'm excited. I know it's D23 this year, so we're going to get some Disney stuff later on in August. Obviously, we'll have films out by then. Maybe they'll be at San Diego again. Who knows? But it's going to be a big year for Marvel. The next 12 months, particularly, it's going to be really big for them to get it right. So, I've got any other films, or is that round us out for this month? I know it's a bit difficult with the internet as well.
That's it.
Okay, well, everybody at home, please do comment with what you've been watching this month, what you watched in March, things you enjoyed, things you didn't enjoy. We'll reply to those when they pop up. Things looking forward to. April, we've got Warfare, we've got Minecraft. I'm so sorry. I almost said Minecraft. All I can ever think of is that hilarious German video. Have you seen it? The kid on Christmas Day. If anyone hasn't seen it, I recommend you go on YouTube because it's like what should be a staged video, but it so clearly isn't. It's that good a comedic sketch. That's all I'm going to think of when I'm at the cinema on Thursday now. There'll be some reviews. There'll be some of the things that you mentioned, Doctor Who. We've got The Last of Us. We've got Andor. It's TV heavy. It's heading into that time of year. and then the summer blockbusters are going to follow. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.